a similar questionnaire to regular ed, and then do a PLC, go into their PLCs and educate them and tell them about some different things that we have, because we do have some things that we've ordered, and and start implementing those things, because I don't feel like they know that we have those
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah. So we'll do thanks for sharing. We'll do the question and answer. What was I know you said you changed your capstone. What is your problem of practice? Do you know your POP?
well, how would you think I would word that? Like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of students that have
You're just connected to a sensory need.
right.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I would really, your problem of practice is, what need do you see in your school building that you think is a huge need, and you're kind of finding a practice that's going to fix that problem that can address to many students. And your problem practice could also include, it's not just students with an IEP.
And I put that in the artifact evaluation, like
Yeah.
decreased student behavior and office referrals, because what I feel like
Yeah.
happens a lot,
That too. Yeah.
yes, that the students are sent, if a student is having a meltdown or some type
Right.
of behavior, a lot of times they are sent out of the regular classroom if it's not, if you're not able to get it under control, if the regular teacher's not able to get it under control, and they end up sitting in the office, waiting to talk to an administrator, when maybe we could stop that. Maybe if they got like a little sensory break, or we were able to
Right.
implement something, then it would prevent some of that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to remember names. Oh, Tanya?
Tanya. Yeah, it's spelled like Tanya.
Tanya. Okay. Yeah. Tanya, do you have any questions you want to ask? Like, we know why you become interested. You did that. You know the bigger picture. I mean, you answered a lot. Is there, and you made a change. I love that you had that growth mindset, and like, oh, yes, we're already almost a year into this program, but you're just like, hey, this is important to me. And you were bold and brave and went to our facilitators and like, hey, can I change this?
Well, I was just getting way too, I kept thinking,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to implement this. And we were implementing a social emotional learning curriculum, but that Sanford Harmony, someone else owns that. That's their, they already, and we would have, I could have said we're putting it in our schedule and we would have whatever, but I just don't feel like it would have been sustainable. It wouldn't have sustained, but I feel like if I do the research and I follow the right steps, and I've got my administrator and the director of special ed on board, that whenever we create the sensory room and a sensory wall, and we start making schedules that give kids this, and offering these strategies to regular ed teachers, it will be sustainable. And that's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be just something that I did just because I was doing Grec Ed,
Yeah, and we actually have every single classroom here at Richardsville, we have a calming corner. So we have implemented calming corners where my students in my class, when they start feeling that strong emotion, they go to the calming corner and they calm down for 5 minutes, and they come back and return to the class. So that helps eliminate, like you said, office referrals and discipline and behavior. So we have calming corners. This is the first time this year at Richardsville, I've been here 5 years, that it's like a mandatory thing where every classroom has to have a calming corner. So we have that.
I think that's great, because I don't know if you all see this or not. And I saw a thing today, and it said when the child's last school year appeared normal. So like if your child, like my little girl's in 6th grade, and the last year it was a normal for her was actually 3rd grade, because 4th grade got cut short. 5th grade was all virtual. This year's not really been normal. Right. And I feel like, and then some of these kids have been just home. They've been isolated. So it's kind of, they don't really know how to control their emotions. They don't really know how to communicate. They don't know, it's a lot going on, for sure.
Do you have anything, Tanya, before we go to the next person? Our question timer of 4 minutes is about over.
No, I'm good. You did a good job.
Thank you.
I think this is going to be great, and I'm excited to see all the things that you get from this capstone. Like, it's going to be good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I may have to step out during your alls. I'm going to try to put in my earpods and be able to listen, but I have to coach cheer, as I said. And they're supposed to be here in the next, 20 minutes. But I'll bring you with me. I just may not be able to talk to you.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to go next? Or do you want to go next? It does not matter to
You
me.
can go ahead. I'll keep the time.
Okay, and mine probably seriously will not be in 5 minutes because I don't feel like I have a lot to share. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so I just shared a tab. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this year we decided we do recipe for reading, but we did not really like the placement test that was in recipe for reading.
Yeah.
So we found a different placement test, and we found sounds to spelling. Do you all do recipe?
No, but we're looking into it. Like, it's something that our curriculum coordinator is wanting to get a hold of Betsy to help with our primary.
Yes, we love recipe for reading, but like the placement test, it just was not very friendly. We didn't think for kindergarten. So we went ahead and we found another thing that supplemented, like it uses recipe for reading strategies in it. It's called Sounds to Spelling. And so it had a placement test, and we went ahead and gave that placement test to all the kindergarten students to kind of give us an idea where they were at. And the reading intervention teacher used these results to create her reading intervention groups. So like I went ahead and I put a black thing over top of all the student names, but like it's divided by like each classroom. But we found like I guess where like they did not have preschool last year, their scores are like really low. Like you can see across the board, they're like, and all the red ones mean they knew nothing.
Zeros.
A single letter or sound. So, I mean, there are tons of zeros just across the board. Like, so we're going to use this data to make our RTI groups.
Yeah.
And I don't know, let me go and find my classroom artifact.
So, you teach kindergarten. Okay.
Yes. So can you all see my artifact now?
Yes.
So I don't really know. And I just said our next steps are we're going to give this same assessment again whenever we, after we have our intervention groups, we're going to give the same assessment just to see if there is progress being made.
Okay.
And that's
so hey, record time, like 2.5 minutes.
Yes, I told you it'd be short and sweet.
That's funny. So it sounded like your what is your capstone? I don't know if I can remember.
My capstone, I'm working on a literacy pacing guide.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to include just from like where COVID affected us, we're having to rework our pacing guide. So this helps with my pacing guide because I'm integrating the sounds to spelling, like it's showing that they need to start at the very beginning, doing a letter a week, as opposed to you can integrate 2 letters a week, but where these kids like know pretty much nothing, we are going to do the letter a week.
Yeah, and we're already slowing everything down. We got 2 new curriculums in our district across Warren County, reading and a math. And we saw that multiplication for I teach 4th grade, multiplication, they wanted us to teach each lesson just in 1 day. No.
Wow.
These kids did not get multiplication until 3rd grade. And last year was a COVID school year when they spent most of their time home virtually. So like my teammate and I had to redo the pacing guide and not even look at the pacing guide with the curriculum and just do our own guide. And we're using constant formative and summative assessments to see when the kids are ready to move on. And we're not going to move on until we feel they're ready. And when we kind of get to the point where, okay, we've really taught this and retaught it, and they took the test twice, there's still no improvement. Okay, that's our RTI. So like we kind of got to that point with adding and subtracting. Okay, enough is enough. But we do it during our win time. We call it win time. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like pacing has got to be totally different.
And at first we were like, well, it's kindergarten. It's the very beginning. So COVID should not affect kindergarten. We need to start normal. But then as we got our kids in, we were actually shocked at how much lower they were. I guess we didn't take into consideration they did not get preschool. And a lot of them learned like their letters and sounds at some of the daycares, and then Head Start. They didn't have Head Start last year. So and we got thinking about, like you were talking about that thing, telling what grade they were in for the last normal school year. We got thinking about it. I was like, these kids were like 3 years old whenever COVID hit. So like they've not had anything like for preschool whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on mute, Christy.
I'm finding that post because preschool was on there. I remember who shared it. It was like kindergarten. It says never.
Yeah.
And grade 7 was like fourth grade would have been. It just keeps back. I mean, it's
right. Yes. So it's going to affect us for years to come.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's going to be several years before we get out of this hole. I mean, I have fourth graders, kindergarten reading level, kindergarten, first grade reading level. I mean, 3 years of gaps in their learning. What was I was going to think of something. Don't feel like you have to answer this question, because I didn't finish mine either, but like the research, I didn't know like what you have found that connects to the pacing guide about slowing. I don't know if there's even really articles out yet to go with COVID.
I haven't found an article about it, but I did for my research for this artifact. I put From Sounds to Spelling. It's actually a research-based program.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Integrate into the recipe for reading. So I put that went back with my research and knowledge, just because it was a new program that I learned how to use along with recipe for reading.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Because I didn't get to finish all my research either. But
that would be a good thing to research, though, just like how long they anticipate like COVID affecting instruction and when they expect it to be back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds good. Are you finished?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you still had 3 minutes to spare. All right, I was just making sure.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take the rest of the time.
All right.
I'm just so excited about the artifact I did, and it was really neat. I made sure this time for my classroom evaluation, like my component form, I really went to a student and I made him have not made him. He loved to help me. I picked one student for my artifact because we were not implementing it until Q2. So I was just kind of doing ahead of time work. And so I just had one student do this artifact with me. And he was so excited to be my helper. And so we had a conversation and he really told me how it impacted him. And then I had my teammate do it. So I was just like really excited. I'm going to present my screen, really excited on what I got or what I learned from this September artifact for the fall. Probably what I'm going to go over first is the example that I did with my student. And well, actually, I probably need to tell my problem of practice first. That way y'all will know why I did what I did. So I'm going to go to my evaluation form and go to my problem of practice. That's what I want to do first. Okay, here we go. Now it's okay. So my problem of practice, y'all still, can you, okay, I'm good. All right. No, you're fine. I'm just making sure I didn't lose y'all. Okay. My problem of practice has 2 parts. One is getting students to become leaders of their own life by goal setting. The second one is learning how to be an accountability partner to others by using positive social interaction with their peers. So I really kind of have goal setting and social emotional learning of perseverance and like teaching kids how not to give up and to set goal and all the components and what all they need to do to hit that goal. And so then I'm also, my capstone is helping kids learn how to support each other, how to be accountability partners, how to use positive social interaction with their peers, and just encouraging. So that's kind of my problem of practice. So for this artifact, I was about to go to the agenda. This artifact, this boy, we do STAR as one of our summative, district assessments. We do STAR. And I made an organizer that's for STAR data. And this top part was what I did before I met with him. So I picked from the STAR reading report. It says that my student needs help with sequence words, like putting things in order or referring back to the text to answer questions. So I gave him 2 choices from an informational text standard and a literature standard. And then I asked him, what do you want to work on? So he says he wants to do sequence words to describe order, and he wants to do the theme. So he got student choice. So I let him choose, what is a goal in reading? What do you want to focus on to improve your reading? And then the next part of the artifact, I asked him, what did the skills mean to him? Like, I wanted him to use it in his own language, like student-friendly language. And he said, I need to work harder at being able to describe a story or events in my life in order. So he connected it to himself to help him understand that skill. And then he said, I need to write notes on the important events while reading the story and underline text evidence. So he says, like, when he's reading, he's got to take notes on the side while he's reading and underline evidence, and those things will help him determine the theme. And then the last part of this organizer, the artifact, was he did his next step goals. So I took him through his next step is while reading my chapter book, I could pause and stop and write the events in order from the page on a piece of paper. So these are like little things he could do here in the classroom daily to hit those standard skills. But this is more meaningful to him. And he's like, in the morning, I could come into school and write sentences in order of what I did after school the previous day. So he said, he can get practice sequence of events if he connects it to his own life when he comes to school. Just be like, hey, Miss Estes, this is what I did yesterday after school, putting things in order. And then his second step that goes with theme, his skill of theme, he said he's going to select a different book, read with another classmate, and have conversation about the theme of the story. So he wants to buddy up with someone to help improve his skills. So I just thought that was really neat, and this is something I created for us to start in quarter 2. Did you see that? What do you think about that, Tanya? Okay.
It's good.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. And then, so that was kind of my organizer that I just did with him. And this connects with the standard of planning for instruction. So like, I know how to support him, and we made a rigorous learning goal based on his knowledge of the content and reading. And so I know the knowledge that he needs to work on. And so I can plan that for my instruction. And the good thing is STAR connects to what we're already teaching through our curriculum, but it just made me more aware. And so I kind of talked about the impact. It was really cute to hear his impact. He said, help me build confidence for my next reading STAR test. It helps me set a purpose for my reading of books at school. First time completing a paper like this, I really enjoyed it. My favorite part is having a conversation with my teacher and having her help me find ways to improve the things I'm not good at. Makes me want to read more books so I can achieve my goal. This reading goal will also help my writing skills and give me more practice. So that was all his thoughts of how this artifact impacted his learning. And then my teammate gave some suggestions. She loves that the goals are specific. They're not just a number to achieve. It gives student choice. It connects to them personally with what the skills mean to me. And she loves that he said action steps instead of just working hard. His action steps were specific to the skill. And then she gave some suggestions on how we can implement it with our whole class, like help them brainstorm and work through it. As a whole class, maybe share a student example already done. And so me as the educator, this has helped me this organizer has given me specific standards to focus on in my planning of content. I know exactly the curriculum and activities my students need to be successful. Each time that I'm planning, it becomes more meaningful as I know that I'm doing the best for my students. So like just doing this organizer with him just made me aware that when I'm about to teach the text structure of sequence of events, I really need to hit that harder and go deeper, or theme. And so those are skills I'm already teaching, but it just makes me aware as I'm lesson planning with my teammate, like, hey, this is what the kids need. So just my whole capstone is focusing on the problem of practice of helping kids set goals, to be a leader of their own life, take charge of their learning, and then how to be accountability partners. So the accountability partners come in the huddles when they meet with their huddles 2 times a week, and they're talking about their goals and reflecting on how they're doing. Research, I haven't finished that part. I'll just be honest. I've had a lot going on, but I want to finish the research. I did find that the big takeaway from one research article that I had was that the instructor needs to make the decisions of the educational learning in the classroom. Like it is up to me as the teacher. And those decisions on how I run the educational learning in my classroom comes from the summative data of what the students are doing. And so it makes it harder for me to plan what I'm doing if I don't have the data. So I'm just seeing from that article, like, yeah, assessments are an important feature in determining the behavior and attitude of the students learning. Like these assessments, and that kind of goes with what you're doing, Tanya. Like you're looking at the assessment data of those sounds, and you're doing the next steps of how you are making your pacing guide and slowing things down. So it's kind of what you're doing too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of connects to exactly what you're doing. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I think that's all I really have. Oh, I forgot to say what are my next steps for this after the artifact. My next steps for my school is that I only did this with one student. So like my first steps is to do it the whole class to get ready.
That was going to be one of my questions. I was going to ask you if you were going to do it with other students.
Yes. So my teammate's doing it and I'm doing it well. And so we said that we have to do the first part of the artifact, like pick their skills, like give them 2 choices in each domain of informational text or literature text standards, so they can have a choice. And then we're going to let the kids kind of pick their own and walk through one section a day. So like after they do their skills, we're just going to work on, okay, pick a skill you want to do. Then the next day we'll do this, because it would take a lot of time. And there's no way we could do it one-on-one conferencing individually. So my teammate and I are going to, when we come back from fall break, at the beginning of the morning before we do SEL or during our win time, we're just going to do one section at a time and complete it over the whole week, do it Monday through Friday. So then it's ready for our next goal setting. And so my teammates already looked at this. We're going to do it together. And I would also like to, my next step is to share this with the other intermediate teachers, because I think this is something 5th and 6th grade can do. And our whole school is doing Leader and Me leadership notebooks. And we have to set goals anyways. And like it's mandatory by our administration team. And it is a requirement this year that every student in our building is setting goals and keeping track. And so I want to share this to my intermediate teachers, because I think it's things that the 5th and 6th graders can do as well.
Right. It'll be valuable to them too.
Well, and like the boy that I did, like you said, he's never done anything like this before. He said, I have never been asked, how do you want to learn in the classroom? I'll stop sharing. He's never been asked, like, how do you want to learn? And I just think we're going to have a bigger impact if we include the kids in our planning. Yes, I'm still going to do the lesson planning and breaking down the curriculum with my teammate, but he has say on how he wants to learn those 2 skills. He's going to read his books and make more notes in the margin of our curriculum. They have like space on the side of the story that they can take notes, and he's going to underline evidence, or he's just going to say, hey, this is the stuff that I did after school in order, first, second, third, last. Like, he's connecting it to him. And I just think it's going to be a bigger impact. And so I just feel like in the winter, when he does the star again, I hope, my goal is that those skills won't be there anymore. That we're working on this all the way to the winter. We usually take it December, January, star again. And he has all this time to work on those just 2 skills, because these kids can get overwhelmed if they saw the report.
Yes.
If they see the report that I see, oh my goodness, we have all these skills. No, it's just going to be 2 skills that they are going to focus on for quarter 2. And then we're going to use the same document for math. So quarter 3 is going to be a math goal. And so the kids will be a lot more familiar in the third quarter after Christmas on how to do it. So my just big thing is that I want to prepare these kids for the outside world. And I know people think elementary is too young to start. It's not. I started in 4th grade knowing I wanted to be a teacher, and I wish I had more teachers invest in me, helping me become a leader and like just setting goals. I mean, think about, we set goals all the time. People set goals to lose weight or exercise, or like, I'm setting these kids up I feel like for success.
Yes, and you can now get a great impact on that student just because the things that he said based on that thing, like he wanted to read more books. And
and like
for a kid that's especially
he was like, it's going to help me want to read more books, because he knows he's got to work on it. And he said, you help me find things I need to work on. And the writing, he came up with the writing. He's like, if I have to write down the events of my life, that's going to help me with my writing, forming sentences. And I'm just like, I mean, this was all on his own.
Yes.
This was all on his own. And yes, I had to guide him some, just because he's never done it before. But I did guide the conversation. But the reading more books and the building confidence, like he already has confidence in himself that he's going to be able to do it, because he took what we read as teachers and put it in his own words and applied it to him.
It's going to be a lot more meaningful coming from him thinking and coming up with those things on his own too.
Yeah.
So how did you pick this child? Was it one of your higher students, or was it
No, he's my middle.
Or a middle student? Okay.
He's a middle. I wanted to not pick a high student because that's such a good question. I really was strategic about, so he's not even so we have colors, like green is the really high. We have blue, who are kind of on watch, but they don't need any support.
Right.
And then we have yellow, which is not our low, but they need a lot of support and help. Mm-hmm. And then we have red, who's like most of our special ed students in kindergarten, IEP.
Yellow.
So he was yellow. He was my middle, where he needs a lot of support. And so I wanted to start with one of my yellow kids. And it was just really impactful. So I'm like, gosh, think about like how this is going to be with all the kids.
Yeah.
And, my lower kids, their skills are going to be different. And that's what's also neat about this, is that every student, I'm going to try to find things that are the same. So like this boy, his skills, theme and sequence, if I find another kid that needs the same skills, they could be buddies. So it's going to take some work.
Then they can both work together toward that same goal.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of work up front for me as a teacher for this first time. But if I can find kids that have the same skills, I can put that on there. Now, if they don't pick it, okay, I got to let them be their student choice. But I want them to try to have support systems. And like my lower kids, they could support each other, but they're so low that red group that I'm looking at, they're going to be more support from me.
Yeah.
But we're still going to make this at their level where they're getting student choice in their learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like all three of us, I'm just so excited for our learning that we're doing with our projects and capstone. Like, I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah, that's what I like about this great program, because it's stuff that we're actually doing in our classroom, and it's benefiting our students. And I don't feel like it's just like extra busy work. It's stuff that we're already going to do, and we're just thinking more in depth with what we're doing.
That's what I love about Greg Ed too, is that I get to do activities and research and work that I get to use in real time with my kids that is meaningful, that is important. Like, I get to do that.
And it's nice too coming on here and sharing and hearing ideas from other people too.
Yeah, and supporting, and I don't know. I just think having the mentor is huge too. If we were in a college, we would be stuck by ourselves.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've done 4 college level master classes, and I obviously didn't finish the program, so I hated it.
See, I started my what's it called? National boards. And I gave up on them because it's like I had no guidance whatsoever.
Right.
I had all these documents to read of what they wanted me to do, and then I had nothing to help me with it. So I was like, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've done it too. I went to the University of Cumberland, thought I wanted to be a guidance counselor, school counseling, and it just like I was doing stuff that I never did at school with my students, never had student input, never got to do activities with the kids, and it was just 18, 20 pages of writing over what? Yes. I'm not using any of that stuff. This stuff I am going to use. Like this document I made, I'm going to use for quarter 2, 3, and my 4th graders coming next year.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah. I think we're about finished. How long?
Yeah.
We've been in here about 40.
We're supposed to go back. I don't even.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What time did we start? I feel like we're good. I feel like we'll just go back.
I'll just go back to the main room and see if other people are going back.
Yeah. Thank you. This was great.
Yes. See ya.
Bye.